This is the true beginning of the end.
Let's the galaxy burn.
What does the game update and new expansion content mean for the game and other updates today?
Time to play the game. Time to play the game!
What up, everybody? Scuff D here, and we've had ourselves a pretty big announcement, some big news today coming out here. New expansion announced, and it was announced in style. If you haven't checked out the trailer, check that out. That's gonna get you hyped. Got me hyped. I actually heard a little bit about this a few hours before it was coming, and have seen some material through the data mine leaked. Shout out to Ancient Parrot especially. He's shared a lot of content that he's uncovered in the files as it's been added. So there was already indications that we were getting new content. The question is, how were we getting it? What was it going to be? When was it going to be rolled out? Vent has given us different cards, and some people were kind of wondering, are we going to get them through this, through playing events, and are we going to get cards out here? Are we going to get, just a couple cards at a time? Or is it going to be something, a whole new expansion? What's it going to be? What's it going to be included? There are many questions still to be answered. And before I dive into speculations, which I really don't like doing, but I feel like today is not a day necessarily of speculations, but of hype. So if you're speculating because you're hyped, it's okay. But before I get into that, the Warp Chatter podcast, we're going to be hosting the Everguild Q&A. We're going to be recording that episode this weekend, or this Thursday, I should say. That episode is going to air next week. So if you're not subscribed to the Warp Chatter podcast, or you don't listen to it, you may want to consider checking out to it. There's a link down at the bottom of this video to the website, and you can find out what listening platform you prefer to use it on. Check it out, subscribe to it, at least give next week's episode a listen, and hopefully you stick around and listen to more of the content that we do there. But the main thing is that's the Q&A, the Everguild Q&A, where they will be answering many questions from the community, including questions about this new expansion. So last week, from Thursday through Sunday, I had a window of time where I was taking questions from the community across Discord, Facebook, Reddit, filtered those all, compiled them all, and sent that list of questions, including the top asked questions, and some interesting niche one-of-a-kind questions to Everguild to get some answers. They've got some additional time to prepare some responses, so the questions that they can answer should have good answers. The ones that they can't answer, we'll have to lament, but we'll find out together, and there will be more information to come. And you can find that here on this YouTube channel, and obviously at the podcast when that episode airs next week. All that plugging aside, if you haven't already done so, subscribe here or subscribe to the podcast. You won't miss out. Now, let's talk about this expansion. Now, the message here indicates that there's a blog post. The blog post, if you click on this link, if I click on it, you won't be able to see my screen, but indicates that the expansion is going to incorporate new cards for 6 of the existing factions, and that is going to be the original 3, the Sons of Horus, the World Eaters, and the Death Guard, not the Emperor's Children, as well as 3 Loyalists, the Imperial Fists, the White Scars, and the Blood Angels, because they're defending a Terra. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other traitors and Loyalists at Terra, Sisters, Custodes, Agents of the Sigilate, but they're not going to be included in this first wave. There's going to be new cards. There's going to be new stratagems, is what they like to call them. From what we've seen in the data mine, I believe it's a new mechanic, a new card type, actually. Something that maybe we might get a little bit more information on in the Q&A. Something to kind of build some decks completely differently. Plus, we're going to be getting 5th Warlords for those factions. All factions are eventually going to get additional Warlords, but that's the first wave. This expansion is going to release, supposedly, From the information I've got, is the 26th of November. That's Black Friday. That's in a week and a half's time. So get excited, get hyped. If you aren't already, get on the horn, rally up your lodge mates who might have taken a break from the game or might have stepped back. I think the last few months, some people have kind of felt the ebbs, the energy, the typical post-expansion bloat. It happens. That's something I'd like to talk about at length, but I feel like if I'm just talking to myself, then it kind of loses some of the conversation tone. But it is something that happens to players, and we've lost some over time. Some players go to different games. Some players just stop playing altogether. Some players eventually come back. It all depends. Through the course of the community, while the community has remained active, I think there's some figures that I'm hoping come back, because I haven't seen some material from some of our content creators. Recently, on one of the projects I was working on, was going through and kind of trying to compile a list of the YouTube content creators, not necessarily YouTube, but I mean any content creators that are out there. I don't know if I got them all. There might have been a couple I missed. There's probably some in the Russian-speaking community that I missed completely just because I don't know what platforms that they're on. But there was at least 20 that I compiled. And from what I could all see, only 9 of them have had stuff uploaded within the last month. And just recently, I think last week, Defnut, your physics teacher, announced a temporary pause on his content because he just didn't have any inspiration. I'm hoping this upcoming expansion gives him the inspiration to kind of step back in and give us some more material and don't step away from the game. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I mean, Karma Toast hasn't posted videos in about 3 months. Skypoint will be doing spoilers. I didn't talk to him. I saw him on the Discord chat, mentioned that just briefly this afternoon. So he's going to be doing spoilers. I'm hoping to do spoilers both on the YouTube and on the podcast, but if I can just do it on the podcast, then that's where they'll be. Vapex is still playing, and he's still streaming strong. And then there's T-Hutch. T-Hutch is another one that I follow that he plays pretty regularly, and he's uploading stuff. And obviously Mr. Midnight's still doing videos. So, I mean, those are the bigger ones. And there's a couple odds and ends of just guiding guys that put up videos when they feel like it, or, you know, there really hasn't been a whole lot to keep them motivated. Well, here we are. New expansion, new material, new cards. Let's hope that we get more content. I know I'm going to be planning on doing more content, so you can look forward to that if that's something that you're looking forward to. If that's not something you're looking forward to, then I don't know why you're here. I mean, this is the last event. This is the flashback event before we start getting new stuff. I really don't want to see this burning a bot add to the game, but we'll see. So with that said, with the community status, with our content creators, with the new cards that are going to be incoming to the game, what does this mean to the game? For a long time, almost this entire year, and honestly, almost entire last year, there have always been people who have said, this is it, the game's ending. Once they do the Imperial Fist, they get to tear the game be over. The game's dead, the game's dying, people are leaving. It's been 2 years, game's still here, and based off of the rollout for this expansion, right? This expansion, let's just say, is giving new cards to 6 factions. 6 out of the 35 factions. There's arguably enough material then for 10, like that's 5 more expansions. Like if each expansion is 6, then that's like 5 more expansions after this one. Now, I don't know if they're going to continue to do them every 6 months, like 2 a year, like they have been doing, because those have been whole new factions, or if we're going to get them a little bit more frequently because they're just adding cards to new factions. Maybe we'll get that information figured out and found out. But that's 5 expansions. So even if they do just 2 a year, that's 3 more years. If they do 3 a year, that's still 2 more years worth of content, worth of gameplay, on top of everything else that goes with it, whatever else they might add beyond event, beyond campaign, beyond, you know, the ladder and practice. There may be tournament mode added. Maybe there'll be some additional, some way to play a 2-headed giant, or, you know, dual players. There's a lot of time within that. Not only is there a lot of time, if this was just a standard game, just a standard homebrew IP game that the Everguild created and it was their content, they would be limited really just by their budget and what they can do and what the interest is in. The interest is here because this is Warhammer 40k, this is Horus Heresy. But on top of that, you got expectations to meet with GW. So we don't know what GW might hold with Everguild. Like, hey, you have to do X amount of cards or expansions, new material, new game modes a year. We don't know that. But you have to figure that there is a standard that they want to have with their product. Now, I say that knowing that Games Workshop has had a long history of terrible or subpar mobile and or other games. But this one is different, and if you play it and you enjoy it, you can understand why, and you know why. And I'd like to think that with Everguild putting their primary focus onto this game, having a very strong product like Horus Heresy, having the Horus Heresy be a long-running, I mean, we've had just this game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to have 9 expansions. I thought we had less, but we have 9 expansions. The series is 54 plus books, 54 books plus the Siege of Terra stuff. And we've only got 9 expansions just yet. There's a lot of material there to cover, to add in new characters, new card types, new campaigns, new battles, whether that's a short story, whether that's an epic thing. I mean, Talon was an entire campaign, and we just got like one event for it. We could go back there and do a whole expansion for Talon. It would be kind of a one-side expansion, be like Alpha Legion, Iron Warriors, and Imperial Army. But yeah, it could be something. We'll see. I'm just throwing that out there. Like that's the whole point. Like the heresy raged over years, not just 9 expansions. These were the 9 expansions to get these factions into the game. Now they're in the game. Let's get more stuff added to them. Let's make these things interesting and strong and play. So, what do I think that the new video means? Well, aside from it mean, hey, there's a new expansion coming. I hope, well, I can't say I hope, I know that we've got more content coming beyond it. Like, you don't just have one expansion and not have multiples planned beyond it. And obviously, however they roll out for the other factions that exist, we're going to have at least 2 more years of content for this game. Whether you believe that or not, if you want to continue doubting the way people have doubted for the last 2 years, go for it. If there's a 40k game in the future, maybe there will be. But at the same time, this game is still standing strong. This game is still going to get played until they take it down. And if people are still playing it, and they're still making alt arts, and they're still playing, and we've still got more than 50 people in the top 50, or vying for the top ranked players. I mean, look at, these are lodges. These are lodges here. We still have 50, because they list 1 for 50 of lodges playing. This is low scoring points, only 10 days in, but that's 20 players just right there, 50 times 20. How many players is just in that representation? On top of that, how many of those lodges that are listed on the event are not listed in the top ranked lodges, which is not loading for some reason. Anyways, the whole point is there's a huge player base. Don't listen to just the 1 or 2 who are really vocal, because there's always going to be those who are really, I'm really vocal. Maybe listen to the positive, not the negative, because the negative have been spouting negativity for the last 2 years, and it hasn't done anything to ruin the game. The game's still here. I'm still having fun. I hope you guys are still too. I'm hyped. I'm excited. I plan on sharing spoilers and new cards and new deck lists as we go, and getting really into it. And I really hope next week that all the questions that people have had get answered, that they feel that it's a good Q&A. Yeah, Q&As, they kind of run the gamut. Sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're not good at all. But I feel with this format, maybe with it being on the podcast, and that was something that the Everguild community manager reached out to me, so I really appreciate the opportunity. Maybe with it being on a vocal discussion and a verbal discussion, people will feel like there's a little bit more substance to it and not just some arbitrary answers. We got a little bit more time to get the questions gathered. We got a little bit more time to get the questions answered. And I really hope that we can give some answers to people, as well as give people more reason to get hyped. And there are questions out there that you've got, burning questions. Night Lords, when are they getting buffed? Custodians, when are they getting buffed? When are you going to do something about the draft system? When are you going to do something about how event rewards are chosen? Those questions and many more are going to be asked, and we'll get answers on them. You better believe it. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. Spread the word. Get people hyped, because I'm getting people hyped. And until next time, keep playing Legions. Bye.